Good evening, everyone, and welcome to your Rangers Review post-match reaction video after Rangers come from 2-0 down to defeat Kilmarnock by 4-2 at Rugby Park. Barry Ferguson gets his first win as Rangers manager in his debut game. Oh, what a game it was too. Where do we start with this one? Rangers selecting the same team that started against St Mirren at the weekend, and it was looking like a bit of a mistake after a real nightmarish half hour for Rangers. They were almost like rabbits caught in headlights. A substitution was made after Kilmarnock raced into a 2-goal lead. Joe Wright from a corner. Rangers were all over the place for that one. Joe Wright nodding home at the back post. Brad Lyons adding the second just 3 minutes after. Enciala and Raskin never really covered themselves in glory. And he pinged one past Butland. And in all honesty, it could have been about 3 or 4, perhaps even 5 that were coming at Rangers in swaves, but they held out, and a substitution was made at Clinton Enciala. Let's be honest, it could have been any one of the players that were out there at that moment in time, but fair play to the coaching staff. They brought on Ridvan Yilmaz, put him at right back, put Tav in the centre alongside Robin Proper, and Rangers from then on were a much different side, it's fair to say. Václav Černý getting a goal back, good breakaway just 10 minutes before the break. I'd imagine there may have been a few backsides kicked at the break, I'm sure, because Rangers came out and were superb in that second half. I really enjoyed watching them. Serial Dessers making up for 2 missed chances in the first half, nodding Rangers level from a corner. I could not believe it, nearly fainted when I seen it from close range. And then a brilliant goal to fire Rangers ahead just after the hour mark. Great pick out from Ridvan. And what a finish it was, right into the corner past O'Hara. And Nadim Barami then came off the bench to just add the icing on top of the cake with another Rangers breakaway. Diamandi finding him and his shot nestling into the back of the net after a keeper just unable to keep it out. Got to say, Chris, I thoroughly enjoyed watching that. If you take minus the first half hour, which was a bit of a car crash, let's be honest. That's what we wanted from this Rangers team. Loads of spirit, fight, and eventually we've seen that.
I would love to have been a fly in the wall at half time, Derek. Can you imagine that dressing room? I'd love to be a fly in the wall before, during, and yes, after, because it would have been really interesting to see what Barry and the team were like pre-match, and how nervous he was and what messages he was trying to get across. Safe to say that first half, certainly first half an hour, did not go to plan whatsoever. He would have been really, really animated at half time, where I thought. But his changes paid off. You have to give the management team a lot of credit for that. And then afterwards, you can imagine that there was a real sense of pride and a bit of a real sense of togetherness within the dressing room after that. You mentioned there that the fans that came here, they were not expecting much in terms of huge tactical changes or huge changes in terms of the lineup. They wanted to see a performance that was very different from St Mirren in terms of energy and a bit of heart and a bit of drive and playing the game at the right pace, playing it with the right intensity and the right motivation, and all the things that Barry spoke about in his press conference yesterday. That's what he can bring to this side, and that's what you saw certainly in the second half. Much more like it from Rangers, and thoroughly deserved winners in the end.
Yeah, and there's a comment that came in. Would we have seen that under a Philip Clement side? I don't necessarily think we would have seen that, Chris. I think it would have just sort of been one of those dull watches for Rangers. I could not see him changing things. It was a big call, bringing off Clinton Enciala when he did. Like I say, it could have been anyone. I would have personally, I thought Robin Proper was in a shaky leg. I don't think he had a good game at all tonight. You could say the surface wasn't ideal for him, but this is the sort of games that he's just not cut out for. So yeah, it was one of the two of them, but Tav coming in for great credit. Lots of people saying that he was brilliant, and I sort of agree with them. Tunnock says fair play to Tav, really helped Proper. And yeah, a lot of people saying he did well when he was moved into a central position. But do you make it Enciala? Listen, he was poor at the weekend, poor tonight, but at the end of the day, the guy's a baby. He's just started out in his professional career. Clement did say this. He's going to have dips in form. He's going to make mistakes, but you just have to go with it at this moment in time, as hard as it is. Although I reckon perhaps a little spell out the team might be on the horizon. Do you reckon?
Who knew James Tavernier was Rangers' best centre half?
Well, listen, when you played at Old Trafford at centre back, I thought he was good as well. So that could be the future for him.
I think it was a big call from Barry to make. Any player being brought off after half an hour when they're not injured, it was obvious to everyone what was going on. Nsiala had a really poor start to the game. Was nowhere near good enough. And fair play to the management team for being decisive. I think if it had been the previous management team, you would have got to half time and then the change would have been made. That became almost a staple diet of a Philippe Clement match day, having to make changes because it just wasn't going well. So fair play to Barry for being proactive and making that change. Rangers to get the goal, get themselves back in it. And from those moments, from that Nsiala sub and the Cherny goal, Rangers more than deserved to go on and win the game, because earlier on, every time Kelly went forward, it looked like they were going to score. Obviously, Proper gets tripped in the build up to the first one. Joe Wright heads in and at the back post, slack from Raskin and Nsiala. Brad Lyons with a really good finish, and at that stage, Kelly looked like they could score anytime they went forward. Marley Watkins had a couple of chances, and Rangers were really rocking at that stage. But those two big moments in fairly quick succession, the change and the goal, really altered the flow of the game. And Rangers deserve a lot of credit for the way they were able to come back into it.
Yeah, I've seen some criticising when Nsiala came off. He sort of Barry was so engrossed in the game that he sort of shook his hand, sort of thing. But people were saying, he should have went out and sort of spoke to him like Clement does, I guess. But when guys come off and has a little chat with them, listen, I'd imagine in the dressing room right now, he'll be having a word with Clinton Nsiala about why he was taken off. So I think it was just the emotions of the game and things like that. But I wouldn't read too much into it. But like we said, that substitution really made a massive difference in the course of the game. Rangers stabilised themselves because, let's be honest, it was all over the shop for the first half hour. It was a very open game as well, Chris. I was surprised at how open it was, given Derek McInnes's Kilmarnock side's usually very organised and don't give much away, but they went man for man, and Rangers broke away at will in that first half. There was two big chances falling to Sergio Dessers. That's a frustration of mine. I know that they scored with two breakaways in the second half, but taking opportunities. We'll talk about Dessers. The first two in the first half, he should bury. But he took his two goals in the second half. Well, he keeps coming back for more. That's what you can see about Sergio Dessers. He doesn't necessarily let his head drop, and he's come back and scored two goals tonight.
I think we spoke pre-match about that Dessers Igaman partnership and how good it is, how successful it is or could be. I didn't think Igaman had enough of an influence on the game overall, but playing in a position it doesn't really suit him. You're asking him to do things in terms of link-up play and to make more passes and to try and link the play more. That's not really his strength. But you couldn't really switch them because Cyril Dessers can't really do that either. So it's not as if you can say, well, you'll play him in behind. I thought Barry was trying to encourage the two of them to try and play as a partnership at times and try and get them both as far up the pitch as possible. Again, he spoke about that yesterday. He wanted Rangers to be front foot. He wants them to be positive. Wants them to be an attacking side. First half hour didn't really create an awful lot. Ball wasn't really sticking. Never really got into any kind of rhythm in terms of their passing. Igaman had a really good volley at the keeper save well. Apart from that, it was all Kelly. As soon as the momentum changes, you could just see Rangers playing with a bit more confidence, a bit more expression, a bit more freedom. And that's all the things that Cyril Dessers needs. Now, when he is in that groove, he does score goals. Yes, he'll miss chances. A couple of breakaways late in the first half that Rangers should have done better with. But that has been something that's kind of been part of this side throughout the whole season. They do create enough chances. They do miss too many chances. They do make too many mistakes. The decision making is not the best at times. But tonight they got away with it, and the goals they did score, good goals, some good moves in there. As you mentioned earlier on, scoring direct from a corner. That's a rarity. I can sense a Joshua Barry analysis piece coming on that one already. So I think that there's a lot for Barry to unpack from his first game. The emotions are going to be sky high. There's going to be a lot of adrenaline flowing. He'll have a lot to think about. Probably won't get much sleep tonight by the time he gets back up the road.
No.
But I think he will take a lot from that, and certainly the attitude and the mentality and all the things that he would have regarded as a non-negotiable, all the things the Rangers fans regard as a non-negotiable. If he can put that into the squad on a more regular basis, he will have served his purpose over the course of these next 10 games as we are now.
Yeah, but Paul Sturrock gets in touch. I love this as well, Paul. This guy, when they cut to it, when Dessers scored Rangers' third goal, he says McCann jumping on Fergie's back at the goal. Superb stuff. You're at Rugby Park, of course, Chris. What was it that the dugout like? I'd imagine it was very animated. Not only Ferguson down there, Billy Dodds and McGregor, McCann down there as well. What was it like?
I thought animated is probably how I would describe it, but not in a bad way, not in a kind of ranting and raving, just being out there to be seen for the sake of it.
Not that sort of chewing the fat sketch way.
No, not at all, thankfully. I thought Neil McCann and Billy Dodds, they were out, they were trying to talk to the players, they had one-on-one chats when the match allowed, and Barry was front and centre. I don't think he actually went back in and sat down for the entire 90 minutes. He was there, he was on the front foot. I'm sure he would have kicked every single ball.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure it would have been quite strange for him to be manager of a Rangers side. But the fans also showed their appreciation. The "Oh Barry" song was out at the start during the warm up, and he got his moment right at the end. Also, the players go across and celebrate with a wee crowd there, and Barry then kind of gave them a kind of fist bump and a nod and a bit of appreciation from a club legend to a support that's obviously been through every high low and everything in between with him over the course of his association with this club. So I'm sure that night will mean an awful lot to him. None more so because he's managed to mark it with a victory. Half an hour in, he might have been fearing that this was going to go badly. He might have been wishing that he had said no to Patrick Stewart on Sunday night. Yeah. But that type of moment, that type of comeback, that type of reception from the Rangers fans, that's what a Rangers man like Barry Ferguson will live for. So as I say, this is a night that will mean an awful lot to him, I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think of managers in the first game that they've came from behind. It's sort of reminiscent of Advocates' first game. Remember Shelbourne down at Tranmere's ground at the time, and came back from 3-0 down that night and won by 5-3. I remember just listening to that game on the radio thinking, who have we got in charge of the club here? Deary me, what's going on? But a stirring comeback, and tonight was very much similar to that. Alan with the point, I'm glad that he mentioned this. The Rangers support was magnificent tonight. Yeah, they absolutely were superb. And there was a display before kick-off as well, Chris, which was nice.
It's a Rangers support that has very little to shout about over the course of the season. They're not going to have much to shout about over what's less of the season. They're not going to have any silverware to celebrate. But time and time again, they keep coming out in their numbers. They keep giving their backing to the team. They have voiced their displeasure, their frustration, their anger, a whole range of emotions at different points this season, and rightly so, because overall it's not been good enough. These players owe an awful lot to the club, and they certainly know an awful lot of support, because what they have provided over the course of the season, not just in entertainment value, but in terms of results and performances, it's nowhere near good enough. Players should know that. The fans certainly know that. They will continue to make their voice heard. They will continue to demand the very best for this football club. And I say nights like tonight, in the grand scheme of things, it's not going to be one of those I remember when. But the fact that it was Barry's first game, the fact that it's ended in this manner, I think it'll mean so much to Barry. But it's a wee bit of payback, but a lot of ground to be made up.
Yeah, No doubt there is, but off to a winning start, which is fantastic. A couple of points coming in. You can't do that. Says 4 goals and no injury at Rugby Park. Yes, absolutely. That's always a concern playing on that pitch, which, as we all know, is far from ideal. Haggis Killer, Ridvan. There was a shout earlier on saying Ridvan for man of the match. He says, "I can't keep playing Ridvan at right back. He's so left foot dominant it leaves him off balance." I get your point. Sort of, I think to have at centre back is how I would be going about it on Saturday if John Suter is not available, Chris. But Ridvan at right back, do you think we might see that? And Jefty again, I don't think is not having his first half. I don't think he was good. He's one of a number of players I think that's struggling for a bit of confidence at this moment in time. But the Ridvan at right back experiment paid off tonight. It's not. You don't want to see that long term, though, do you?
It's not a long-term solution, obviously, but Rangers are in a phase where there are no long-term solutions at present. No one that's here is a long-term solution right now. It really depends on Dujon Sterling and when he can get back in the matchday squad and when he can start playing again. But it'd be interesting because I think Sterling has obviously he's played every position in the side almost. Got this reputation of a guy that can go and step in and play at centre half. Would you now play Tar at centre half ahead of Sterling and play Sterling at right back? I think that's probably a call a lot of people would make. Obviously, Fernandez is in the squad. We don't know enough about him. We don't know what level he's at these remaining games. Certainly give him a chance to prove himself and hopefully try and show the fans what he can do. That was a difficult night for Clinton Nsiala. It's a difficult night for Robin Prop. I don't think he was at his best either. I think the fears that we spoke about pre-match about just certain games.
They miss a dominating centre half, Chris. We've said that in many videos, haven't we? They need someone, and we've touched on it before, a guy in the Nico Katic sort of profile is what Rangers require. That sort of guy that's going to go and head everything.
Certain games just don't suit Robin proper, and this is one of these. This is one of these games. It didn't go well for him here earlier in the season. Didn't go well for him tonight. I said Tav stepped in. I thought he was really accomplished in there and certainly helped steady the ship that was rocking in that first half hour. The options across. Again, we spoke a wee bit about it pre-match. The options are just not there in the squad for the manager now to make huge changes. He has to go with what he's got, obviously. There's nothing that can happen in terms of the transfer market, clearly. So he has to try and find a way of keeping everyone on board, keeping everyone's spirits up and allowing them to buy into whatever message he's trying to get across. Give people game time, give people a chance to prove themselves. If you don't prove yourself in one game, you don't deserve to play in the following game. So come Saturday, would not be surprised if Tav starts at centre half. Wouldn't be that surprised if he starts alongside Fernandez either, because I think Barry has shown with that change he's not afraid to make big calls. We spoke about it ahead of the game and we kind of justified why he picked that same side that was so abjectly poor against St Mirren. Really interested to see now what does he do at the weekend? Who impressed him tonight? Who gave him what he was looking for? Who does he feel that he can go and put his trust and his faith in heading forward?
Yep. Alan with the points, his end performance was even better when you consider the challenge of being 2-0 down on that pitch. Yeah, absolutely. Barry will be, and the coaching staff will be absolutely delighted at the mentality and the fighting doggedness to come back into that game and win it in such style as well. Good for Barami to get a goal, Chris, as well. He's another one that has been below par for several weeks now. Can't remember the last time we had a real good game for Rangers. Maybe they're going back League Cup final, perhaps. If you're, or I think he had the Rolls Firm game at Ibrox. I think he was decent, but that may do him the world of good in terms of confidence levels.
It should do, because I think, as I've said there, it's not been a good couple of weeks, not been a good couple of months for Barami. He's someone that I've spoken about quite a lot on the shows in terms of he just has to do more for me. It just doesn't bring enough to the side. Could a change of manager, even though it's not a permanent one, could a change of manager and a change of voice and maybe some tactical tweaks and a bit more a different message and some motivation, could that bring the best out of Barami? I think come the end of the season there's going to be a big question over him. Is he someone that Rangers can put their faith in for next term? Is he someone that a new manager will think there's a player in there, I can go and build my front four around him?
Yeah.
I think he's got a lot to prove. I think he's got a long way to go for that to be nailed on. But again, you mentioned the game at the weekend now coming up. Is he someone who could potentially come in, get a start? And you never know. All these wee things can just make such a big difference to players. And ultimately, Rangers just need to find a way to get through these games. But they do offer an opportunity for players, because, as I mentioned in my analysis piece on the site, players are playing for their own futures here as well. They've got a lot to make up and a lot to learn. So and I think there's a number of interesting points to come out of tonight. I looked down here. Barry's just about to go through his media duties doing RTV. BBC are just up the touchline, and then he'll head up here and get into the press conference room. So of course you can check out his full presser on the YouTube channel, and I'll have the full Q&A hopefully within half an hour or so. So if you're thinking of going to your bed, give it another half hour. Just like deadline night, we're teasing you to just stay on a wee bit longer. But Barry's just doing his RTV. He'll do BBC and then go up into the presser room here at Kelly. So keep across all our channels for full coverage of that.
Good stuff. Man of the match tonight, Chris. Contenders for you. Who would you award the Glenn's vodka, whatever it is they give players these days?
It's a tricky one, because the first half was that bad. Not as I like any runners and riders from the first half. I thought Tavernier was really good at centre half, and you have to give credit to Dessers for getting the goals. Yes, I know he frustrates and he missed his chances. But I thought getting those goals and getting them at the right time that was really important for Rangers. That's actually a nice suggestion there from Kevin. I like that. Let's go man of the match for Barry Ferguson, because I think he certainly earned it over the course of the night.
Yep, right. Good stuff. We'll wrap up there. Big thank you to Chris for that, and thank you to you all for tuning in to the show, folks. All's well that ends well, and all that. Rangers coming from behind to win by 4-2. I'll be back on tomorrow morning, 9:30. Johnny's going to join us, so it'll be interesting to get his take on what he witnessed this evening. But I'm sure you'll all have a good night. As Chris said, keep your eyes peeled on the YouTube channel for that Barry Ferguson press conference. I'm sure it'll be very interesting indeed. Right, we'll speak to you tomorrow morning. Until then, enjoy the rest of your evening. Bye for now.